CNN, 7th of August 2023, an international outcry was growing after a Chinese vessel sprayed water cannons at Philippine boats. As a result of one of its Coast Guard ships using a water cannon against a Philippine boat in the South China Sea on Saturday, China is seeing an increase in international criticism. Analysts say this incident exacerbates the already tense situation and may prompt the US and its allies to expedite plans for joint patrols in the waterway. A much smaller Philippine boat that was trying to deliver supplies to a garrison of Philippine Marines on Second Thomas Shoal, a South China Sea feature in Manila's exclusive economic zone that China refers to as Renai Reef and also claims as its sovereign territory, was sprayed by a large Chinese Coast Guard ship, according to video from the Philippines. Additionally, as the Philippine Coast Guard warships accompanied the resupply boats, images from the agency revealed the Chinese ship passing dangerously near in front of them. In a statement posted on its official Facebook page on Saturday, the Philippine Coast Guard, PCG, said, "The PCG strongly condemns the China Coast Guard's, CCG, dangerous maneuvers and illegal use of water cannons against PCG vessels." Washington, Manila's principal ally, denounced the Chinese activities on Sunday and reaffirmed its commitment to upholding its obligations under the Mutual Defense Pact with the Philippines. U.S. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller stated in a statement that the United States reaffirms an armed attack on Philippine public vessels, aircraft, and armed forces, including those of its Coast Guard in the South China Sea, would invoke U.S. mutual defense commitments under Article 4 of the U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty, 1951. Allies of the United States united behind Manila and Washington. Germany, Australia, and Japan referred to the Chinese moves as destabilizing and dangerous. Additionally, Ottawa unreservedly condemns the dangerous and provocative actions taken by the Chinese Coast Guard, according to the Canadian Embassy in Manila. The Chinese Embassy in Manila received a formal note of complaint from Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Monday, he added, along with images and videos on what had happened. The Chinese use of water cannon, which the Philippine Foreign Ministry and Armed Forces denounced as a dangerous and illegal practice, put the lives of the Filipino crew at risk in violation of humanitarian and international law, they said in a joint news conference. Prolonged disagreement. Beijing and Manila have long been at odds over the South China Sea. Over the majority of the 1.3 million square mile South China Sea and its islands, even those hundreds of miles from the Chinese mainland, Beijing asserts indisputable sovereignty. This includes the Spratly Islands, also known as the Nanchas by Beijing, an archipelago of 100 tiny islands and reefs that Brunei, Malaysia, Taiwan, the Philippines, and Malaysia partially or fully claim. A Chinese Coast Guard ship, pictured on the right, allegedly obstructs the Philippine Coast Guard vessel Malabrigo in this June 30, 2023, photo supplied by the Philippine Coast Guard. Malabrigo was providing support during a Philippine Navy resupply mission near Second Thomas Shoal, South China Sea. Via the AP, the Philippine Coast Guard. Water cannons fired by China are allegedly directed at Philippine ships in the South China Sea. However, Manila refers to the region as the West Philippine Sea. To bolster its claim to the area, it purposefully grounded the BRP Sierra Madre, a Navy transport ship carrying Filipino Marines, on the Second Thomas Shoal in 1999. The International Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, which declared in 2016 that China lacked the legal authority to assert historical rights to most of the South China Sea, supports Manila's claims. Beijing has disregarded the decision. Several Chinese-Philippine clashes this year, including one in which a Chinese ship pointed a laser at a Philippine vessel in February, and several close calls that analyst Colin Coe dubbed near collisions, have been compared by analysts and Philippine officials to Saturday's incident. According to Co., a research fellow at Singapore's S. Rajaratnam School of International Studies, this latest incident clearly represents an escalation. Senator Alan Peter Cayetano of the Philippines told CNN affiliate CNN Philippines, "I really believe we're entering the period of brinkmanship diplomacy." He warned that it can cause instability in the region if something goes wrong. However, China doesn't appear to be renouncing its rights. A spokesman for the China Coast Guard, Gan Yu, said that 2 Filipino supply vessels and 2 Coast Guard vessels had illegally entered the waters near Renai Reef in China's Nansha Islands. The statement was posted on the Coast Guard's website on Sunday. Gan promised to keep up law enforcement efforts and reiterated Chinese territorial rights in the South China Sea and the islands. Furthermore, Manila was charged on Monday by China's Coast Guard for allegedly attempting to permanently occupy Chinese sovereign land in a statement. After several warnings, it claimed to have fired water cannons as a warning to avoid a collision, and it described its actions as professional, restrained, and justifiable. Gray Zone Strategies. As an assistant professor at Tokyo International University and the director of maritime security at the Pacific Forum, Jeffrey Daniel predicted Beijing would stick to its gray zone strategy, which he defined as actions that fall short of using force and invoking the U.S.-Philippine Mutual Defense Treaty. Blake Ertzinger, a research fellow at the United States Studies Center in Australia, praised Beijing's condemnation on a global scale but said Manila must do more than gather evidence to back up its allegations. He stated, "The Philippines must develop a more holistic response to combine action with its diplomatic campaign. The diplomatic response will not stop this kind of maritime aggression." According to Co., this might lead to the U.S. and the Philippines moving more quickly on their intentions to conduct joint patrols in the South China Sea, as both U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and his Philippine counterpart Gilberto Teodoro Jr. stated last month. According to reports, Australia and Japan may also join the U.S. and Philippines on patrol. Jonathan Milea, Assistant Director General of the National Security Council, stated during the Philippine government's news conference on Monday that Manila would persist in filing diplomatic protests, regardless of China's response, as not doing so could be interpreted by China and the international community as a retreat from its position to uphold sovereignty. Milea declared, "This government will not lose an inch of our territory." Co added that Washington will want more than just words to discourage Beijing. "It is imperative for the U.S. to walk the walk and avoid creating the appearance that Beijing can keep using coercion and increasing its activities without facing consequences," according to Co. Daniel concurred. He declared, "The Americans have a decision to make. Beijing will keep succeeding in altering the status quo if U.S. countermeasures are restricted to words and maybe military drills,